Matthew chapter 5, verse 13. It says, "You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt has become tasteless, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men." Now, when this text is usually preached, it's all about doing something. We're the salt of the earth. So as the salt of the earth, we need to get out of the salt shaker. We need to be this influence in the world. We need to do all these things. I would like to submit to you that that's not the contextual interpretation of the text. When you pull a verse out and simply use it as a cliche, it will lose its meaning. You are the salt of the earth. Now, I want to put special attention just for a moment on something. You are. It is an affirmation. He does not say that the Christian is to become. He does not even say in this point that the Christian is to act like. He says you are. What we have to realize today, there's a very important word in philosophy. It comes from a Greek word ontos. It is ontology. It is the study of being. It's not about what I do. It's about who I am. Being. In the very depths, the core of my person. I appear much more spiritual than I actually am. I have known a measure of success, people would say. But I want you to understand something, that preaching and ministries and great things are not the mark of success. It's the fragrance of Christ on your life. It's the love that you have for the people of God. It's the love. Once I was preaching, and after a move of the power of God in a certain place, a lady came up to me and she said, "Surely you are a man of God." I said, "Have you ever seen me with my wife?" She said, "What?" I said, "How can you say I am a man of God by listening to one puny sermon? You must watch. You must see. You must look. Any fool can preach. But to be like Jesus Christ, that's the question of my life. I have got to the point where ministry matters very, very little to me. I want you to know it matters very, very little to me. Because if I look in the mirror with accolades hanging off my shoulders and medals around my neck, but I look in the mirror and I do not see Jesus Christ, and I must confess to you that many times I look in the mirror of God's Word and I do not see Jesus Christ in Paul Washer, well, then what does all the ministry matter? What does all the noise and the banging of drums matter? The question for me is this: am I conformed to the image of Christ? And not just in the realm of church, with my wife and with my children, with your wife and your children, your husband and your children, those around you, those closest to you. Today we are too much about what we do and not enough about who we are. What we are. What am I? Who am I? I want us to look at what he's saying. He says, you are the salt of the earth, but if the salt has become tasteless, how can it be made salty again? Now, the point that he is making is this: there are certain properties, elements, if you will, to salt. If you take away those elements, you might, and replace, even put something better in their place, you might have a fine thing, but you no longer have salt. There are certain characteristics of salt, and if you take those characteristics away, it's no longer salt. So what is he telling us? There are certain characteristics to being Christian that cannot be replaced. They are principal and necessary elements of what it means to be Christian. And those things cannot be replaced without making the name Christian without meaning. Now we ask ourselves, well, what are these necessary elements to Christian, to being Christian? Not to doing Christian things, but what are the necessary elements to being Christian? Now, this is not how do we enter into the Christian life. We enter into the Christian life through faith in Jesus Christ. But once we're there, what is it really all about? It seems like every week it comes down the pike, some new teaching about what Christianity is really all about. But what is it really all about? According to Jesus, well, He's just laid for us that there are certain characteristics to Christian, to being Christian, that if those characteristics are removed, oh, my friend, as the English say, you might have a fine thing, but you don't have Christianity. So what are they? Now, do we have to just ramble all through the Bible and pick out certain verses? No. Again, context. What does it mean to be Christian? What does God want from you? Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are the gentle. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Blessed are the merciful. Blessed are the pure in heart. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are those who have been persecuted for the sake of righteousness. I have just described the clothing, the fabric, the fragrance of Jesus Christ. Everybody wants to do something when we ought to be wanting to be something. I am so tired of just doing. So tired of having my Christian life reduced down to how I perform and what I do. Jesus Christ comes to me. His yoke is easy, and His burden is light. And He tells me this: it is not what you do, for I can raise up rocks to do what you do and do better than you do. But it is Paul. The seal I have set upon you, the decree and the hope, is that you be conformed to my image. This is the challenge. God can win the world. God can do all sorts of things. God does not need me, but He commands me to be like His Son. And that is all. And my dear friend, that is enough. That is enough.